So welcome Prateek, welcome Shaunak to our show. Thank you for being the part of being my show. So let me give a brief introduction about yourself. Like you guys are doing filmmaking for around how many years right now? Like in this industry?
More than I think 5 years right now we are working in the industry. So
Okay.
I am Prateek Bagi,
Yeah.
and this is
I am Shaunak.
and we both are basically the graduates from Satyajit Ray Film and Television Institute, which is a premier institute of filmmaking in India, run by Ministry of Information and Broadcasting. It is a sister school to Film and Television Institute, which is in Pune. So we are both postgraduates from the institute, and our specialization was producing in films and television.
So, film school, usually people get into after their graduation. So it's like a postgrad course. There are a few disciplines. The one that we took up, I'll say, is like the gray area in our country. What is producing? People don't usually know. And that was a question to us as well, in fact, before we got it. In fact, Prateek and I both, we were kind of into films before we got into SRFTI. I, as an AD, Prateek was already shooting short films. So my journey, specifically to speak about, I was working as an AD, doubling up as an EP, I can imagine today, an EP meaning executive producer. But back in those days, there was a certain person I was coordinating with on the projects that I was working on. And this is the guy who's calling the shots, organizing things. Of course, finance comes from a certain place. So you allocate the budgets, you get things running. Very interesting profile this guy was in. And I was very curious. I mean, what is this guy? So later I realized he's a producer. Okay, so producer is not the guy who only puts in money. Producer is the guy who gets everyone to do their thing in a certain direction. Interesting. So, which is why I found myself in this course. Yeah, that my story.
My journey started with filmmaking. It was back in 2008. So I did my graduation in Bachelor of Ayurvedic Medicine and Surgery.
Okay.
So like I'm an Ayurvedic doctor. So my first year in medical college, I was already back in 2008. I was making these short films on mobile phone. So I used to have this Nokia N70 phone hota tha mere paas. So and I used to get people कि चलो film बनाते हैं. And I had no idea how to make a film. Okay, but कि कुछ करना है, right? So that was the spark that I had. And I had a computer with a memory of 512 MB wala jo वैसा space होता था. So I used to make and edit my own films on Windows Movie Maker. So that's how my journey started. So I'm like a self-taught filmmaker. So from there I started assisting a director from Calcutta. And he told me, hey boss, you should join a film school. And I come from my hometown is, so I was like, boss, film school क्या होता है? कि मुझे नहीं film school क्या होता है? अपने को तो सिर्फ film बनाना है, ठीक है? तो बोला कि हाँ, तो I'll tell you what is a film school. So he invited me to Kolkata in 2009. I came to Satyajit Ray Film Institute and I got to see, what is a film school, how people make films and how, the professional industry actually runs. So before that, I have never been to a film set also, but I was making short films. So I was assisting this, this filmmaker, and we were all trying to make a feature length film, and I was assisting him back then. And जैसा सबको होता है कि मेरा भी इंटरेस्ट था कि मेरे को डायरेक्टर ही बनना है. But during the course of the 2 years or 3 years while I was assisting him, I got to learn that actually industry में अच्छा producer नहीं है. When we have a project in hand, but we are not getting a producer who can actually come on board, take this idea to the execution stage and to the distribution stage. So this journey जो करता है, जो एक producer का जो journey होता है, वैसा एक आदमी हम लोगों को मिला ही नहीं. ठीक है, it was very difficult to find the right guy. So that is when I decided that there are many good directors out there, there are many good scripts out there, but there are not many producers right now at the moment जो एक अच्छे project को identify करके उसको idea से script script से execution to distribution जो लेके जाता है, so there are not much people. So that is when I decided, I think it was 2012, after 4 years, working and assisting, that I decided that, boss, I want to be a producer. I don't want to be a director. And somehow I call myself as a midwife. So जैसा होता है ना गांव में दाई होती है midwife. So उनका खुद का कभी बच्चा नहीं होता, but they are very good at advising other people. कि बॉस तुम ऐसा करो तो ऐसा बच्चे ऐसा अच्छा निकलेगा, ठीक है? So maybe I call myself as a midwife. So maybe I have not written my own script, but I'm very good at advising people that what kind of scripts they can write and what are the chances this film can go to which direction. Maybe you're making a festival film, or you're making a independent, or you're making a commercial film, whatever scales you're talking about. So that is what I thought I fit into that category, and I want to do this for the rest of my life, where I identify people, I identify projects, I identify the talents, and I start the journey from the idea to the execution. And that is how it all started for me.
Okay,
Yeah.
and इसमें भी आपने add किया था कि let's say you guys like basically find like which kind of scripts that would work and what kind of script should be there, and would that thing even work? Like आप recommendation देते हो as well as advice. You guys give advice as well.
So,
that part. So how do you approach that?
so
Like
I believe there is a responsibility that films play. A very important part of, I'll say, talking of the times, journalists, they record journals on an everyday basis. But let's say 50 years down the line, it's going to be very difficult to go through journals of every single day for the future generations to know what the times are thinking about. So I think that way cinema plays a very important role. It kind of gives an idea, an overall idea of what people are thinking in today's day. So that's important. I think that is what relevant cinema is about. Capturing everything. I mean, yeah, there is censorship, etc., etc. We have to go through all of that. But then all sorts of films are made, right? So thinking on these lines, yes, I believe relevant topics should be delved into in the films that we are making. Yeah, I mean, if we are true to that and we are true to what we are saying, that makes a good formula for a film. The basics of it, at least. And of course, technical detailing is something that we've been educated in. The technicalities of, let's say, writing, etc., etc. Although we are not writers, we are not directors, we are producers. But as a producer, one has to be a jack of all trades, possibly master of some. Yeah, like we probably won't make the best camera persons, but we have to know how the camera works, because we're dealing with money at the end of the day. If we've got a certain amount, we better know where to use it in the best way possible. So yeah, I mean, which is why we try to get into all the we study about all disciplines. We try to get into the detailing of every single avenue, I'd say. Yeah. So when it comes to writing, it's not a good idea that a producer thinks about budgets, etc. In fact, a writer should not. I mean, that's the person who should not think about budgets when a person is writing. They should put in their creative best. Budgets, etc., come in much later. As a producer, you would want to motivate the writer. And Prateek does that extremely well. He'll talk about how he does it. I take a back seat when this is happening.
So there is a very nice word that Shaunak used, so which is responsibility. So as a producer, there is a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, not just delivering the film, but what are you actually saying through this film to the audience?
Yeah.
Because maybe your film, you're making a blockbuster film, which will run for a week and then everybody will forget. But maybe you're making a film which will live for 100 years, or the next coming generations are going to watch that film. So the world cinema, we still watch, films of Satyajit Ray, right? Everybody in the corner of the world watches the films of Abbas Kiarostami. We watch the films of Martin Scorsese, and they may not be, box office hits, but somehow whenever these films, anybody sees these films, they somehow connect with these films. We get to know, like he mentioned, the what is the situation of that particular place, what are the times we are talking about, how relevant those films are during these times, and when the next generation is going to see this film, they are also going to get an idea. So I think that responsibility is totally on the producer. कि मेरे पास में आज अगर 10 प्रोजेक्ट आता है, it is not possible for me to work on all the 10 projects. I have to maybe choose one or two. So that is where what we say, the vision of the producer, कि मेरे को कौन सा प्रोजेक्ट आगे लेके जाना है और क्यों लेके जाना है. Maybe you are doing a propaganda film like the Kashmir files or Puri. It is all on the responsibility of the producer. What is working on the back of your mind? It can be that you want to just do a pure entertainment. The country is going through a depression. COVID आया, everybody is in depression. So you want that, boss, मुझे full entertainment film बनाना है, right? That is also a good thing. We are not saying कि तुमको social message वाला film नहीं बनाना. It can be a film which I personally love is Munna Bhai MBBS, which has everything. It is doing it's a like overall 360 degree, सब कुछ है उसके अंदर में, right? So it all depends upon the vision of the producer, like he said. And how I see, it is that there are like two types of writers, that I like, we come across. एक ऐसा writer होता है कि उसको हम लोग बोलते हैं कि boss, this is the brief and you have to write on this situation. ठीक है कि let's say the pandemic has hit, so we are going to do something based around pandemic, or the channel or the studio wants we have got a brief, they want a woman protagonist thriller, so he will write something based around that particular brief. Or we want a spy drama, so he'll come up with Razi, right? So this is one set of writers. And the second set of the writers are कि उसको आप कितना भी brief दो, he will never be able to write. And those are the writers who उसके अंदर से जब तक नहीं आएगा वो नहीं लिख पाएगा. So these are the two category of the broad categories of the writers, when we talk to. So one is you give them the brief and they come up with the whole thing, and then you make changes to it, whatever. And the second is who actually work from within. They have got a story which they want to say, and so you have to both understand. These two people, they are bringing different aspects to your storytelling. And as a producer, you identify them and take it to the next step. One very important, the personal experience that I had, which actually was a life-changing experience for me. वो ये था कि it was sometime around 2009, and that was the time when I just started my journey into world cinema. So मैं बहुत सारा world cinema films देख रहा था. I was watching American films, I was watching Spanish films, I was watching Iranian films, I was watching all sorts of films. And one day तब वो UTV world movies नया शुरू हुआ था. So I was watching one day, and I was watching some Hong Kong film, and suddenly the screen goes black. And for 30 seconds I'm figuring out कि boss क्या हो गया, कि ये screen black क्यों हो गया, कुछ TV खराब हो गया. And then the message comes. The message is that this is what will happen to cinema if you don't react now. And the name came Jaffar Panahi. And I was like, hey, boss, kya hua kya hai? I went immediately to online and I searched who is this guy Jaffar Panahi. And I came to know that Jaffar Panahi is an Iranian filmmaker who has been sent to jail for the next 35 years. He cannot write a script. He's put in a jail because he made a film. And that was so shocking for me कि यार एक बंदा उसको film बनाने के लिए जेल में कैसे डाल सकते हैं? मैंने what has he done in his life? ठीक है, because before that I was making maybe a short film, but I never took filmmaking so seriously, that it can actually lead to actually getting you jailed and not making a film for the rest of the life. So and I called my friend. I said, "Boss, ये Jaffar Panahi कौन है?" He said, "अरे, you don't know Jaffar Panahi? Okay, don't worry. And this guy used to be my torrent guy. Okay, he used to download all the films for me. So we are torrent. We are thanks to the torrent, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Better
I don't know. I
educated.
should be saying all the things, but yeah. So he used to download all the films for me. So I said, "Don't worry, you come, and I'll give you the films of Jaffar Panahi." So I watched films of Jaffar Panahi. I saw The Mirror. I saw The White Balloon, and I saw Diary, and I somehow got connected to those films. Those films being shot in Iran in a small village, and I am in a small town in Punjab, में पटियाला में बैठा हुआ हूँ. And I felt it was, I know how these people, they are emoting, what they are experiencing. And if this person is getting jailed for making these films, probably I also want to do such filmmaking. I want to also bring a change. It brought a change within me after watching his films.
Mhm.
And I always, I always, so there was this 2011 or 12 Berlinale Film Festival. So Jaffar Panahi, he was in the house arrest. So there was a chair which was kept vacant for him. Okay, just in
Okay.
his honor, because he couldn't attend he was not allowed because he was house arrested. And so he sent a letter basically to the festival.
Okay.
And it was a letter addressed to all the filmmakers around the world. And I think I recommend everyone who is doing films or who wants to start their journey to just read that letter.
Okay.
माने वो आदमी बोल रहा है कि maybe these people, they have told me that for the next 35 years don't make films, but they cannot stop me from thinking about films. In my mind, I will keep thinking films, and I expect from my fellow filmmakers around the globe to make films. And when I come out, these films inspire me and keep my faith. कि बॉस ऐसा फिल्म बनाना है. And वो message पढ़ के somehow you there is a change that comes in you. And I tell to all my fellow filmmakers that that is something which a person should must read. And kabhi bhi, because filmmaking is a very difficult journey, making a film, the whole struggle. So I always feel, whenever I feel low, I always go there, I read that letter, and it somehow inspires me. Okay, boss, film banana hai, so let's keep working. Yeah.
Like, do you guys even like
So,
look up to some people, like कि यार ऐसी movies बनानी है, या फिर इस like जैसे example, जैसे अभी example की बात कर रहे थे, तो like उनका work हम inspire होके we are like looking up to those people, like similar work, or let's say
right.
getting inspired from those kind of people. Do you guys have that kind of role models, mentors in your life as well?
See, of course, we got all of us. I just want to pick up two things that Prateek mentioned. I found it very interesting. I thought I'll be able to expand on those two things. The first thing he spoke about, one of the things he spoke about is propaganda films. Okay, so usually when we hear that word, we can think about negative connotation to propaganda films, but I don't agree to that. I'll say I learned cinema, a lot of cinema, from Eisenstein. There's a filmmaker from the Soviet Union. Back in the day, he was, of course, a propaganda filmmaker. He was working for the Marxist party, and he was promoting that message to the mass, to the public. But the techniques that he used and the way he made his films, he's created a different style, which was so different from the Hollywood studio system he was following. So propaganda films have all, and there is propaganda and counter propaganda. Even counter propaganda cinema is also propaganda cinema. So it's important to have these. So we shouldn't think that that's negative. All forms of cinema is really, really important. Okay. The second thing I would like to speak about is the fact that we use torrents. Prateek mentioned that, right? So we've used torrents, all of us, we've watched a lot of content.
Yeah.
And now today, as filmmakers slash producers, we would think, okay, now if we are making something and that is being consumed on torrents, we shouldn't be happy about it, right? Because we're probably losing out on box office collections slash, I don't know, yeah, monetary benefits.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case. Especially, I'll tell you what is, it's the responsibility of distributors to make it easy enough
100%.
for people to get access to it in a reasonable amount of money, etc., etc. Filmmakers, on the other hand, should be happy anyway if it is widely circulated. So I'll say it's a great, and there are examples. I mean, from musicians to creators of cinema, etc., who've actually openly put it out for the world to have access to,
Yeah.
disregarding big studios who are wanting to restrict it and all of that. So I think as a filmmaker, we would want our stuff to go out there, no matter how, public screenings for free, whatever way.
Yeah.
Getting the money is the distributor's creativity and how he can actually get it. Yeah, if you as a filmmaker, you're being widely accepted for free, people are watching your content. It's just that you get commission to make something very big, like you get a bigger budget to make something which will probably now uh, earn you enough revenue. So that's the second thing. Speaking of role models, I don't know if Prateek would want to speak first, but I have a personal role model, and that is Raju Hirani. He mentioned that as well. Yeah. I think what Raju Hirani has been able to do, we were talking about message films, right? Very subtle way, he puts in all the way he thinks, his philosophies, and the things that he would like the mass to know about. Raju Hirani is able to do that and deliver it in a very entertaining way. He speaks of very relevant things, makes it funny, makes it sad, makes it emotional, in fact, and he gets people to watch it no matter what belief they are. They probably believe the opposite, but in an acceptable way, he puts it out there for many people to accept it. So that way, if he had a message to deliver, he's been able to deliver it to a larger audience rather than being very stern and on the face. And you know what, I'm just saying, for example, child marriage is bad, and you can say it like this, or you can say it in a different way, in a more subtle way, make you realize. So that way of delivering a message, I really like. Yeah, not that films always have to have messages. You can have messages in the subtext, but Raju Hirani does it really well. One of my role models.
And what about you, Prateek?
So, for me, like I mentioned, Iranian films, they have always been, role model, starting from Abbas Kiarostami and to Jaffar Panahi. But one of the filmmakers that I really admire, is Stanley Kubrick. So he just made around 12 films in his lifetime. So abhi hum log kya hota hai, like, we always get into the quantity. Ke boss, maine 500 film banaya, maine 200 film banaya. But this guy, he just made 12 films in his lifetime, and those 12 films, they are actually one of the top films, that you should see before you die, I'll say. Yeah, all the films, they are absolutely different from each other, and the way he has worked on them, I think every film there is something to learn. So for me, as a producer, as a filmmaking student, I have learned a lot from him. The way he approached the films. So that has been a role model. But I love a lot of films from Bengali films, since I'm in Bengal. So I love the films of Satyajit Ray. And I personally, from the last 4-5 years, I have been following a lot of Malayalam films as well. I have been producing some Malayalam films. So one of the films that I have made few Malayalam films as well. So there are right now some of the best directors and the best films are coming from the South industry, from Kerala. So one of the directors that I really admire is Dilish Pothan. So he has made till now 3 films. The last film that came was Joji. I don't know if you've seen that film, Fahad Fasil. And he has just made 3 films, Tundi Mutlam Vikshasanam and Maheshinte Pratiparam, and this third film is Joji. So I really admire his films as far as the regional cinema is concerned, and he's a brilliant filmmaker. And I don't know, and the recent, a big hit, that has come, which became a sensational, was The Great Indian Kitchen by Geo Baby. was again a Malayalam film, which was a very small film, and eventually it became a big film. So there's a lot to learn and admire when it comes to this segment. And of course, Raju Hirani is when we talk about the Bollywood films, and Sanjay Leela Bhansali, the grandeur that it comes to. So these are some of my role models, just to speak about.
Yeah, like coming to the
Name the
different
best.
like similar topic, like what goes into like the complete filmmaking basically. Like example के script पहले लिखी जाती है, then you guys like look for like a director, like पूरा process क्या like, because I'm not in like at all in this industry, so मुझे idea नहीं है. So can you like brief it up? I know it's going to be like a very big process. Yeah.
Right. So let's divide the filmmaking into three big aspects.
Okay.
So the first aspect, the first phase one is pre-production.
Mm-hmm.
The phase two is production, and the phase three post-production. Okay. The first thing it always starts, is the idea.
So I'll just interrupt. So sorry. Yeah. So Prateek means to say that there is a development phase. Once you're done with that, you get into prep. So he's talking about the development here.
Yeah. So let's say there is a development phase, then there is a phase one, which is pre-production, production, and post-production. So the first thing, before anything starts is, you always need to have an idea. What is it that is striking, which is not letting you sleep, right? So that idea is, jahan se sab kuch start hota hai, right?
Yeah.
And for me personally, as a producer, wo jo ek idea hai, how passionate you are about that idea. Are you ready to give your next 1 year, 2 years, or the next 5 years to that particular idea or not? आज आपने idea सोच लिया कि boss, I want to make a film Munna Bhai MBBS. Okay, and you know what changes it is going to bring, what kind of message it is going to go. But are you ready to give your next 5 years to this film or not? As a producer, that is first thing that you have to ask yourself, how passionate you are about that idea. Or is it just because ठीक है आज ये idea आया है तो चलो कल कुछ और आ जाएगा, right? So first is you have to start loving and your particular this idea, and then after this idea you say कि boss ये idea मेरे को अच्छा लग रहा है. The next step is you basically hire a script writer.
Yeah. और यहाँ पे
who comes on board.
हाँ, टाइप 1 वाले बात करते हैं, इसको हम लाइक ब्रीफ दे देते हैं एंड दो स्क्रिप्ट राइटर्स लाइक राइट अ स्क्रिप्ट बेसिकली. तो इस टाइप के हम राइटर्स की बात कर रहे हैं.
Right. So these people, they will come on board and they will write from your basically this idea. Or maybe ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि script writer idea लेके आया है and it really strikes with you. There are different ways. Okay, the director comes with a script. So we are just starting from scratch in a very general way. So there is an idea. From the idea, we get on board a script writer who basically delivers the script or the story, and then based on that particular story, we identify a director who can actually do the justice to this particular story or script, right? So once these three people are on board, then we work around the script. So the director may have something else to add to the script, which he wants to say, right? So he'll give his inputs to the script writer, or maybe the script writer himself is the director, right?
Yeah.
So this is how it starts, and then
usually, so producers also have their areas of expertise, right? And films, etc., they get made for different avenues, I'd say. There is an independent route that can be taken, which is very, very different from when you're making films for the studios. So of course, now producers, writers, directors, they kind of form themselves as a team. Basis this, are we doing this for the studio? And if we are, there's going to be a totally different approach that we're going to take for the project. Usually working on projects which are for studios, of course, the ultimate motive of making that is to get as many people to watch it, so which will translate into money, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So that's how corporates work, of course. Or there's an independent journey which can be taken, which is usually much longer, more tedious, difficult to secure financing, etc., etc. So there is this aspect of it. There is one, I'll say, taking the indie route has one benefit. You have a higher chance of owning what you're making. I personally think of it like that.
Mhm.
My background is I've been working with the studio of late for the last couple of years. And I understand once a studio gets involved in a certain project, it tries to take all the rights over.
100%.
Whereas filmmakers, yeah, who are making it for themselves, let's say, rather than catering to, or rather than, expanding their show reel. Like Prateek said, there are certain persons who make only a few films in their lifetimes. So they would want to hold on to the rights. It would just make sense that way. Maybe from experience, you realize now you have to take a different approach. Yeah. So this is a very long journey. You have to travel with maybe just the idea, connect with as many people as you can. Different at this stage, I would say there are certain film markets, etc., which operate around the world, mostly for independent filmmakers. So you take an idea, you go to a script lab, you get it developed into a script, which is possibly good now to start talking about involving your uh, ATL. ATL means above the line. Above the line is a very technical term in terms of budgeting, which kind of remains fixed. So the ATL does include the producers, the director, writers, the main cast, sometimes very big technicians like really renowned DOPs, etc., who are adding in value for them to
For
be
sure.
on the project. So yeah, I mean that happens. Then you kind of have an idea now because you have your script ready, you know your ATL, you want to do your budgeting, you know for a fact that this is my production budget and I have to go on floors and I have to complete this film. This is the amount that I require. Then you
Mhm.
go in for securing finance. So markets are designed in such a way that uh, every year you go in, you develop your project to come back next year to the market for the next phase. So first you get your script ready, then you get on producers on board, co-producers, financiers will
Mhm.
eventually come in again, distributors, then yeah, so you reach your distributors through sales agents, etc. Your film is ready, you've distributed it. So the whole process is designed in markets. Of course, you don't always have to depend on markets. You can also do it the other way around. There are intelligent ways of going about it. Some people, in fact, make their films from whatever finances they had on their own, didn't
Mhm.
get distributors. There are examples, didn't get distributors. Okay, I don't need. I made this film for this community. Let me travel to this village, show it to them, ask for 10 rupees per head, set up a, I don't know, a cloth, a padda with a projector. So there are many ways of getting your thing across. I believe it's important to own your film. Yeah.
As a producer, yeah, that is the
Yeah.
most important thing. If you have given so much of valuable time of your life, so
Mhm.
it's always best, and it pays you also in a long term. It's like a fixed deposit. It pays you in the long term if you have done something and you own the rights to it, and you start slowly releasing your this particular equity, let's say. So
And by rights, like what kind
af-
of rights, yeah, we are talking about? Is it like a distribution rights or like what kind of rights like we are talking right now?
overall, I think there are around 52 rights are there for a
Okay.
film. So when we say film, usually we use the term property. So we always call as a property. So this property has around 52 rights, starting from the story rights. Then you have the remake rights, you have satellite rights, you have television rights, you have internet rights, you have VOD rights, and it goes on. You have music rights, theatrical
Okay.
rights. It has around 52 rights are there in total. You have air in-flight rights. You are traveling in plane and you're seeing the film, right? So overall, you have 52 rights, and that is how you earn your revenue back. by selling or by renting these, let's say, these particular rights.
Got it.
And there's a way that rights are also again divided into territories. South Asia being a territory, for example. So there are territories around the world. So, like I said, suppose we own everything. We made a film, Prateek and I, let's say, for example, and we own everything. We could be selective about retaining all the rights for, let's say, South Asia. And all the rights we can, there are exclusive, non-exclusive, there are a lot of divisions into all of this, but we can sell the rights, let's say, to a distributor in Japan. We won't retain those rights in Japan, but for the rest of the country or the world, we can.
Yeah.
So there are distinctions in this way. And like he said, there are many different kinds. You can like remake your film, you can dub it in different languages, you can do all sorts of things with it. Yeah. So, and like I mentioned, there can be multiple producers who have come in for different reasons. And one of the things people look forward to in indie filmmaking is international co-productions. That's very important. I mean, very important, I will say, for persons who want to get their projects premiered in premium film festivals, which could be in the Cannes, or Berlin, or etc., etc. So difficult to have your film premiered at, let's say, a French film festival, unless you have someone from France, representing you. So people do this also. So they kind of get co-producers all around the world, and rights are usually shared amongst everyone.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So just to continue, how the film is there, like how we make the film. So once you have the core crew on board and you have the budget in place, then starts the pre-production phase. When the production phase is already there, you then start your location scouting. You go for the location scouting, you go for the recce's, what is your location, you start the casting process you start. And in this, the whole important thing is the timeline. You need to have a timeline of the project. And it is always best to have a timeline and then work your way backwards. Right.
Okay.
So let's say right now you started your film with your idea, then you got a script writer, you got a director, then you got your main cast, then you have the secondary casting or the tertiary casting going on, then you have got your other crew, which let's say is your director of photography, your editor, your sound designer, your production designer, your art director, your costume designer, all these heads and their assistants, everyone who will come under the BTL, below the line crew. So you hire them, and then you are also doing the location recce or doing the scouting. And once all these things are there, then you exactly start talking about what equipments you want to shoot your film on. Are you using what kind of cameras you want to work on, what kind of film, whether it is a sync sound film or a non-sync sound film or a dub film, right? So all these things you start talking with your technical crew, right? And once all this start, then you have various pre-production meetings are there where you discuss from from the length of the script, each scene there are breakdowns are done, what is the requirement of each particular scene, and each department you have to oversee in the terms that are they actually doing their jobs or not, right? And whenever you are hiring the crew, it is always best कि जो भी talent आप ले रहे हो, whatever crew you are actually getting on board, are they in sync with the script that you are working on, right?
For sure.
It may be you have the greatest DOP on in the world, you have working with it, but it may happen that there are certain ego issues that you might have with him, or will have with the director, right? So you always need to have a crew which actually believes in that project, right? It should not be just another gig. I personally believe everybody should bring something on the table when they are working on it. And as a producer, it is your responsibility that they give you bring out the maximum potential out of this crew. They give not just the 100%, that they give more than 100% to this project. Right. So, and how you inspire them to be part of this thing, that is, the job of the producer, right? So then the production part, which is, the filming part, it starts. And once you are finished with the filming, then comes the post-production part, which includes the editing, the sound, the VFX, which has become a major part right now, and then the color grading, right? And then you finish the film, package the films as per the requirements, as per the markets, wherever you are delivering the films. And that is how, the first print, let's say we call it, is ready. And from there, it starts a journey for the distribution. So that is like overall.
Yeah. I have a question. Let's say you like start recording filming a complete movie. बीच में you realize कि यार ये director तो let's say justice के बाद आई थी. Let's say this director is not like doing the justice to the script or the idea that actually was there. So तब क्या करते हैं? I'm not sure ऐसा होता भी है, but let's say hypothetical ऐसा हुआ. क्या मजा नहीं आ रहा director जो भी कर रहा है?
Yeah, it happens a lot of times. That it's a very regular thing that you are working on a project and not just the director, anybody in the crew who is not in sync with the project, or he's not following that particular this thing, not, let's say, the vision of the project. The rights of the whole things are with the producer. So he has the right. Number one, his approach should always be to solve this particular problem. He has to go and talk to this particular crew member, whether it's the director or the production designer or director of photography, whoever it is. Okay, to bring him on board in sync with the vision of the project and try to solve this problem. That is the first thing, that how I would go. And the next is, if you feel that it is not working out, then as we say, it is always in the best interest of the project. You have to replace him.
Yeah.
Right. What do you think?
Absolutely. In India, at least, when you're working with private equity, that's usually the case. I think in Europe, in certain countries like France, I'm not sure Germany or not, the director has the last say. Yeah. He decides what. So it's the director's cut always. There are certain things like this.
But
it's a cultural thing.
Yeah, it all depends on, I think, who owns the rights, right? So
because in Europe, actually, everyone makes it on public funds. They get money from the government or government bodies to make things. Okay. So there are different rules for different kinds of productions.
I'll give you a very interesting analogy. Okay, just to sum up what is the journey of filmmaking. तो मैं तो पंजाब में जब जाता हूँ तो a lot of my relatives, they ask me, बेटा तू करता क्या है? ठीक है, तू कलकत्ता में रहता है पर तू करता क्या है? तो मैं बोलता हूँ कि I used to say कि मैं तो जी प्रोड्यूसर हूँ. ओ तो फिर तो मतलब तेरे पास बहुत पैसा होगा, तू पैसा वैसा लगाता है, right? So that is, and it is very difficult to explain. Like I'm telling it to you कि बॉस हम लोग क्रू हायर करते हैं, स्क्रिप्ट लिखते हैं, ये करते हैं, वो करते हैं. So to tell it to my चाची और मासी और मामा, it is very difficult. कि दादू को समझाना है कि भाई कैसे फिल्म बनता है. So I always use this analogy for all my relatives back in Punjab, which is a मटर पनीर का recipe. ठीक है? Okay. So which is basically which I'm just using on you, and which you can actually use to just the sum of the whole thing. कि पकड़ो कि अंचित के पापा ने अंचित की मम्मी को बोला कि आज मेरी बहन आ रही है बॉम्बे से, तो मेरी बहन को मटर पनीर बहुत पसंद है, तो आज प्लीज तुम मटर पनीर बनाओ. ओके, सो मटर पनीर इज द फिल्म. ओके, योर मदर इज द डायरेक्टर एंड योर फादर इज द प्रोड्यूसर. राइट. अभी क्या हुआ, आपकी मदर ने बोला ठीक है, एंड योर जो बुआ आ रही है, जो आपकी बुआ मतलब आपकी फादर की जो बहन है, हु इज कमिंग इज द ऑडियंस. Right. So you have these four things in place, and आपकी मदर बोलती है ठीक है मटर पनीर बना देंगे, and she gives you the list of the things that she needs. She'll say कि ठीक है 1 किलो पनीर, 500 ग्राम प्याज, टमाटर, इतना ये सब जो भी है ले आना, धनिया पत्ता. So your father takes a list, he goes to the market, and वो पॉकेट में हाथ डालते हैं और देखते हैं कि बॉस जेब में तो 100 रुपए आया, इतना सारा सामान कैसे आएगा. So 100 rupees is your budget, and that list you have. So what is a good producer? He, first of all, he has to be very, he was street smart, right? He should be a street smart guy, and he should know कि boss, मुझे सस्ता प्याज कहाँ पे मिलेगा, सस्ता मटर कहाँ पे मिलेगा, सस्ता पनीर कहाँ पे मिलेगा. And it is not just सस्ता, but without compromising the quality.
Yeah,
अच्छा और सस्ता कहाँ पे मिलेगा, right? So maybe your father will say, okay, I will go to the बड़ा सब्जी मंडी, वहाँ पे I will get early morning में सस्ता टमाटो, right? और I will get वो वाले जो लाला जी हैं, लाला जी का पनीर बहुत अच्छा होता है, right? I'll get the paneer from there, and I will not buy सफल का मटर because वो frozen मटर नहीं लूंगा. I will buy मटर, ठीक है, थोड़ा मेहनत लगेगा खोलने में, but I'll use that मटर, right? So how well you know the recipe, right? माने अगर आपके फादर को मालूम है कि टमाटर ठीक ठाक भी होगा तो भी चलेगा, right? How well you know the recipe, he can actually bring those materials to your mother, right? तो बोलेगा कि बॉस पनीर अच्छा क्वालिटी का होना चाहिए, मटर ठीक भी होगा तो भी चलेगा, प्याज पुराना भी होगा चलेगा, right? So how well you know your ingredients, how well you know your requirements, how well you know your integrity of the script, is actually identifies a good producer, right? तो अभी क्या हुआ कि आपका मदर तो आपके फादर ने somehow वो 100 रुपए का बजट में सब सामान खरीद के लाके दे दिया, and your mother starts cooking, okay, your mother starts cooking and she has almost done, ठीक है, and she says कि अरे आके देखो कैसा लग रहा है, and your father now taste this, and your father will say कि अरे भाई ये क्या बना दिया, तो मैंने तो तेरे को बोला था मटर पनीर बनाने को, तो ये क्या बना दिया, ये तो मटर पनीर तो है. तो बोले नहीं, मेरी बहन को तो मीठा वाला मटर पनीर पसंद आता है. You have made it a spicy matar paneer, but this is like, you have added a kaju paste and everything into it. There can be different variations of a matar paneer, right? So that means the vision or the brief was not properly passed to the director or your mother, that what kind of matar paneer your pishi, your buai likes, right? So it is all on the vision or the brief के boss, मेरा audience ऐसा है, ठीक है, कि मेरी बहन को तो बॉस मटर पनीर जो पसंद है वो स्पाइसी पसंद है, उसको मीठा नहीं पसंद है. सो दैट इज वेयर इट कम्स ऑन के हाउ वेल यू नो योर ऑडियंस. द प्रोड्यूसर से बॉस मेरी बहन को ऐसा पसंद है, बट योर मदर में से कि बॉस आपको अच्छा लग रहा है कि नहीं अच्छा लग रहा है, राइट? इट मे बी आप टेस्ट करवा के देखो. इफ योर मदर डज नॉट, इफ योर सिस्टर डज नॉट लाइक, देन वी विल से, राइट? So that is where, like you were mentioning, the fight starts, right? And that is where, he has to, take a decision right then कि ये वाला जो पर्टिकुलर मटर पनीर बन गया है, ये अभी मीठा से कितना स्पाइसी हो पाएगा. Or if he can serve the same thing, maybe this matar paneer is actually quite good, and he can serve the meetha matar paneer for once to your sister, right? It doesn't have to be a formula like how the studios does, right? So, and then is, the reaction of your buaji ke wo aake kya bolegi. So that is how I tell all my relatives that this is my journey. So then they say, "Acha beta, tu प्याज लेके आता है मतलब."
Well said.
I think इसमें like this some of the Saunak's point as well, like the producer has to be jack of all trades. So example उसे पता होना चाहिए कहाँ से क्या लेना है, budgeting सारे idea होना चाहिए, and almost all the trades, things that go into filmmaking. He should like be aware of everything actually.
Right. And I think he should also, the same cooking thing, he should oversee the whole process, but not coming too close also. कई बार क्या होता है कि it is like a father-mother relationship.
Too many cooks spoil the broth.
So it should not be कि आप भाई वहाँ पे खड़े हुए देख रहे हो कि नहीं ये थोड़ा मिर्ची ज्यादा हो गया है. So I personally, how I like to work is I like to give freedom to my director. Like once I have hired him, then I think he is the best judge for what is happening on the floor. If I am not taking that right decision, then boss, isme mera galti hai. It is not the galti of the director, right? So I think it should all start from that first day when I am meeting him and I'm interviewing him and I'm giving him the brief. That is the first thing that I should know, ki boss, is this the right guy I'm working with or not?
Yeah,
after
absolutely.
that, I don't think.
Yeah, like I think जब micromanage करते हैं, so I think we limit the creativity of a person as well. For example, director की कुछ vision है, maybe हम micromanage कर रहे हैं, हम अपने हिसाब से बनवाए, but when the director जो भी उस चीज में specialize करता है, he might portray that
Right.
complete scene in a very different way, and maybe in a much
Absolutely.
better way that we can imagine right now.
Right.
And
Right.
same thing that goes with the like the cinematography पूरी की पूरी, like चाहे वो recording वाला बंदा हो चाहे audio वाला बंदा हो, I think micromanage में creativity हम limit कर देंगे किसी way में.
Right.
Speaking of the same thing, sometimes तो करना पड़ता है क्योंकि प्रोड्यूसर को पता है बजट कहाँ पे जा रहा है, तो थोड़ा सा alterations etc बोलना पड़ता है, and that's very difficult because the producer also believes in the project, fell in love with the script that he's working on, but realizes now there are some compromises which need to be made. Also, a very important job of a producer is to find solutions. Like I always mention this. I think Prateek had shown this scene to me. I'm talking about Fargo season 3, no?
Right.
Yeah, Fargo season 3 has the sequence where two gunmen enter an office building, huge office building. So probably in terms of writing, it was these two gunmen, they get into this office building and they shoot about 200-300 people. The entire place is devastated. Get to the, I don't know, the president of the company's office room. And then eventually, the action sequence concludes over there. This guy comes out of the window. But the entire thing would have cost a lot of money probably to shoot. But what they instead did was they stayed from the time that these two gunmen entered into that building, they stayed outside. Everything that happened after this happened in terms of audio. So you can imagine how much. So the camera moved along the building. Imagine they've taken the elevators, the camera moved in that form outside the building, level 2, level 3, level 4. Eventually, we see they come out of the window. So yeah, there are creative ways also, you understand? It's not always a matter of पैसा नहीं है तो नहीं कर पाएंगे, कुछ ना कुछ solution निकालना पड़ेगा सबको साथ में मिलके.
Yeah, I think
that
like,
is important.
For sure, like it's like a very well said, and I think like बोलने का तरीका, like how to convey your message and your vision to the other, like your team as well, वो also it matters a lot. Like उनकी ego भी hurt ना हो, as well as हमारा काम भी हो जाए, and like ये ना लगे हम like spoon feeding कर रहे हैं वो सब की चीजें. So I think that also like plays a very important role. So इसमें like I'll have to like ask, let's say film make, let's say movie बन जाती है after distribution. So like how does it, like the producer make money? Let's say obviously right, some sell करते हैं, that's like one part. Or any other way like you guys make money, like it can be like sponsors, it can be anything. Or let's say किसी बंदे ने financing कर रखे, let's say he's like 50% like pay किया था उसने starting में. How does he make money?
So we are hopeful someday Prateek and I will be making films and earning money. That day hasn't come yet. But I mean, yeah, we get paid for working in films, but we haven't started owning films yet. I mean, we own some short films, etc. And yeah, in fact, we have in terms of syndicating. Yeah. But the usual way, in the traditional way rather, is a film is made. Once the film is made, I'm talking about only one of the ways. Okay?
Yeah.
So once the film is made, yeah. So the producer gets a distributor on board. Now the distributor is the person who will get it out to the public. And by public, I mean it is it's connecting it to exhibitors, cinema hall owners, etc. So let's say a very basic, I'm not sure from 100% of the calculations, but once a ticket is sold, let's say 100 rupee ticket, whatever is the taxes is first gone, then the distributor takes, then the exhibitor takes this share. After that, the distributor takes this share, and whatever is remaining is the producer's share. So the producer is the last person to get paid from that ticket. Yeah.
अच्छा, इसमें ऐसा भी होता है, let's say like starting में, is it like, does it also happen like, let's say director is like, यार मुझे भी इसमें like थोड़ा cut चाहिए, like don't pay me, give me equity in what in the end will earn, या फिर let's say as well as like,
Of course,
absolutely. I mean, there are. That's why Prateek and I were quite excited after watching Shark Tank. Yeah, filmmaking तो ऐसे ही बनता है. You understand how Shark Tank works, right? Like there are different sorts of people coming in asking for different kinds of percentages, and there are many rounds of. Sometimes films work like that.
So you bring in people, bring on people. Maybe I don't have any money in my pocket. I have a very good script, but I need a director to be attached. So either director will say, boss, at least give me a signing amount, right? I need to sign him. So I'll say, boss, signing amount to nahi hai, but I can give you a certain percentage, right? And then you approach the cast. So that is how you develop the project, and you bring people on board. Whether it is by using the certain seed funding that you have already raised from the investors that you have, or using your own money, or you start giving sharing your equity with these people, right? So it all, I think, at the end, I always believe that your vision and making first apne aap mein bharosa hoga that yes, I believe in this project, then only you can make other people also believe, right? And you have to then sell the idea to whoever you're working on the project.
Well, like, let's say question that's like a very, I won't say like a private question, but obviously like not directed to you guys. Like in general, let's say a short filmmaker hai, let's say a producer hai, like he's like making like a usual, he's making like a every year he makes like a couple of like one movie or two movies at max. I don't think it's possible as well. There's a short film, rather 30 minutes, 40 minutes, that kind of movies. How does it like? How much do you think like they like usually earn on average?
Very difficult question.
I think what for us, I think the question is basically ke jo short film maker hai, right? If he is basically I'm just saying कि मेरे साथ क्या होता है कि somebody comes to me and he says कि boss मेरे को short film बनाना, I have a script, मेरे को short film बनाना है. So maybe he has a certain funding also in place, right? Maybe let's say कि वो बोलेगा मेरे को 2 लाख में बनाना है, 1 लाख में बनाना है, या 100 rupees में बनाना है. So the first thing, again coming back to is that what is his vision for this after making this short film? तेरे को क्या पूरा जिंदगी क्या short film नहीं बनाना है? ठीक है? Or after making this short film, you want to show this short film and get a finance for your feature film. You're getting, मतलब अपना विजन क्या है इस फिल्म को बनाने के लिए, वो एक मेन चीज जो है अपने को समझना जरूरी है. Maybe there are a lot of YouTubers who are just doing short films only, like you are saying, they have opened up a YouTube channel, they own their own cameras, they own their small equipments. If they are making their short films and they are uploading it on this thing and they're good subtitles, I think they can easily make around 20,000-30,000 rupees every month. There are people I know who are earning 30,000 to maybe 1 lakh also on certain videos on YouTube, right? But it all depends, what kind of as a director I'm saying, what kind of where do you see after a few years, down the line after 5 years, where do you see yourself as a director? Do you see yourself making a short film only, or you want to go for making feature length film or web series, or what kind of films you want to make? आज तुमने एक film बनाया which is very let's say message wala film, but maybe he wants to break out from this and want to do a full dhamaka RRR film, right? He wants to be the next Rajamouli. So it can be that, but he needs to have that particular vision when he comes and approaches a producer.
Okay,
exactly. I mean, not much to add, but like Prateek said, it's what are you planning with it? That's what is most important. I mean, usually young filmmakers, it's a very good way of showcasing their talent, and possibly earn a little bit, but usually people should not hope for profits from short.
Okay, so basically, like, it can be like just like stepping into the industry. Let's say short film banata hai banda, he's like stepping into the industry, getting a bit recognition, and ताकि वहाँ से it goes like in a more like better opportunities. So it can be that vision as well. या फिर like just for like उसके दिमाग में vision थी एक, he wanted to create a film and he just did it for the sake of his own satisfaction भी हो सकता है. So it can be like I think a number of reasons.
Absolutely.
बनाया जाए.
Right.
So इसमें like how do you like, let's say बंदा let's say movie बनाता है, let's say obviously इसका reason different है. How do you like call it as a success या नहीं है? Let's say is it a successful movie or it is not successful? Like
I have always believed that success is a very personal thing.
Yeah, 100%.
There is no way that you can actually judge कि boss ये film successful है या मैं successful हूँ कि मैं नहीं हूँ. Maybe today Rajamouli has got 500 CR making RRR, but he's thinking अरे भाई अभी भी नहीं हुआ है. But for the rest of the world, yeah, अरे भाई he has made 200 CR on the first day. Maybe he was expecting 2000 CR, right? So I think as far as for me personally, I think success is a very personal thing, and it should be also a very personal thing. And you should not let anyone, maybe your family or your friends, anyone decide कि boss too successful है कि नहीं. Yeah.
Is it like usually
Maybe
monetary basis, or let's say movie gets a lot of recognition. Let's say सारे filmmakers are like यार बहुत अच्छी movie बनाई है, but when you come into audience, let's say general public audience, उनमें इतनी ऐसे distribution नहीं हुई, या फिर let's say like popular नहीं हुई somehow. So but you personally feel like यार ये movie तो मैंने बहुत अच्छी बनाई है, I love it. Maybe response अच्छा ना मिला हो, but I love the end objective. So would you call that as a like, हाँ, I'm happy with the movie eventually?
Then that person is the most successful in the world if he's happy with what he made. Yeah, I think that's most important.
I made my final year film, and after the film got done, the problem with our film, it was a short film. The problem with the film that we knew from the very first day was it was a 38-minute film. तो 38-minute film आपने बनाया ना, तो वो एक problem है कि a lot of short film festivals, they are always under 30 minutes. There are very few short film festivals which goes below 50. So but so me and my director, we were having this conversation, and I said कि boss 38 minute का film है तो festivals में नहीं जा पाएगा. So is it, and our editor friend, he was also there, so is it any way we can chop down? So if you would have chopped down the film would not have been as good film as it is right now. So we said, boss, we are not making the film take festival में भेजेंगे और award मिलेगा, ऐसा वैसा नहीं करना है, right? This is the film that we believe in. This is whatever the duration is, whether it is 38 minute films. Yes, we are doing this film, and this is a learning film. This is a final year film from SFTI. So we made the film 38-minute film lock, and for the next 1 year, we tried sending to the festivals. It was not getting any recognition because it was not fitting into their timeline. And finally, the film actually went to International Film Festival of India and then won the national award in 2019. So, and we are happy. We were happy back then also that we personally believe that boss, हम लोगों ने अच्छा film बनाया, and we recently released the film on YouTube, and without any marketing or any promotion, we got around 100K views within just 20 days with no subscribers, nothing, and they are happy with that. So a lot of people, they might say कि boss मेरा तो एक film को एक दिन में 4 लाख का व्यू मिल गया था, तुम 20 दिन में खुश हो रहे, but we are happy with that success.
Yeah.
And whoever are watching, they believe that was अच्छा लगा film, and I feel happy for that, right? And there is this, I always quote this, this documentary made by Martin Scorsese, forgetting the name. It is basically a documentary on the life of Beatles, right? George Harrison, living in the material world.
Okay.
So George Harrison is saying कि boss 17 साल की उम्र थी, and whatever you can think in the world, we had achieved by the age of 17. We as Beatles, we had achieved everything. One phone call, if we give to the president of US, he will come next day to meet us. In the terms of money, in the terms of drugs, in the terms of sex, anything that you can think of the world, unimaginable thing, we had achieved that by the age of 17. But when we met Pandit Ravi Shankar, we discovered that we don't have peace. And we felt that, how, we are, like how we don't have anything actually. So it actually, when coming someone from like George Harrison, actually it changes you, right? Okay, so it is all up to you, like which weighing scale you are actually using to, measure your success. Whether it can be something very spiritual. I know a lot of, artists, maybe painters or musicians, they just paint for themselves, right? They don't need themselves, to. Descartes is one example, right? All his life he spent, being a poor painter, right? But he became a hit only after he died. Mirza Ghalib, right? I think you have to live with that. I call that, being a creative is actually a curse. It is not a boon. Being creative is actually a curse. अभी I feel very sad actually. आजकल हम लोग देखते हैं वो dance, kids dance आता है. All these kids competitions that we see, and somehow this trend have come up where all the parents they want their kids to be creative. कि मेरा बच्चा तो जी बहुत creative है जी, मेरा बच्चा तो बहुत creative है. But I think it is okay not to be creative also यार, कोई problem नहीं है, right? तो आजकल वो बन क्या है कि बॉस अगर आप ये चीज नहीं कर रहे हो तो आप आगे नहीं बढ़ पाओगे या आप क्रिएटिव नहीं हो. देखो मेरा एंड एवरी पेरेंट इज वांटिंग देयर किड्स टू बी पार्ट ऑफ दिस डांस कंपटीशन और दिस competition, which I think is absolutely stupid because they're actually not letting them what they want to. I feel sad. What is feeling like no we have to we have to live with the single idea for ages, right? It's very difficult. This is filled with frustration and depression. I'm still trying to make a feature-length film which we wrote back 10 years back. In the meantime, I have made maybe 3-4 films, right? I've been able to convince investors, to make a film, a different film. But the first film that we wrote, and which I still believe in, wo aaj tak nahi bana paaye, which we are still struggling with, right? So it is always like that. So I think you have to live with that idea. And
yeah, for sure. अच्छा इसमें let's say अभी YouTube की बात आ रही थी. Let's say distribution में like you think like obviously like starting में discuss कर रहे थे कि let's say people like we want people to like have easy access to the movies, but obviously like publishing on YouTube maybe won't be the most lucrative way to like make money eventually. So what's your like take on YouTube? Like क्या हमें YouTube पे करना चाहिए या फिर let's say after some time we have to obviously release it on YouTube क्योंकि YouTube पे बहुत ज़्यादा short films मिल जाएंगी and from like very good recognized producer directors की even international films आपको मिल जाती हैं YouTube पे. So what's your take like opinion on YouTube basically?
I think right now the making of film has become very easy. आप लोगों ने film बना लिया है. It has become a very easy thing to do. Anybody can make a film, but reaching out to your audience has become the most difficult part. You have a film and how you reach it to them using the marketing skills, right? Now you need to know all these marketing things, like when you're putting the film on YouTube also, what kind of hashtags you are using, what kind of promotions you are using, and maybe you're spending $100 for the promotions, exactly. If you know that your audience is living in this particular area, you can target it to those, right? So I think it all starts from there कि आपको कितना अच्छा आपका audience को मालूम कितना how well you know your audience.
You have to be very you have to take responsibility and understand what the person who financed the project, what he wants out of it. So if he's okay with you distributing it on YouTube, then that's absolutely fine. If you're using your own money, your own finances, and you want to distribute it on YouTube, that's absolutely fine. But you can't do that when the financier has a different vision. So then again, it's all about vision. Probably you're producing something which you've tried to, let's say, sell on OTT. You haven't been able to do that, then YouTube is an app. Let's say, for example. But if you've planned for OTT, then of course you will make it in a certain way, and you've got it there. So now, yeah, so that it all depends on what you plan. And which is why I mentioned at that point of time, there are two routes that you can take when you're planning a project. Are you going to go in for the studios, or are you going to keep your independent route? And accordingly, you take your calls about distributing.
Okay, what are you guys like working on right now? Like any film, short film, like longer film? What are you like guys working on right now? Yeah,
I am presently working on a feature-length film right now.
Okay.
So I am working with a studio which is like a 115 years old production company in India, which have produced the films of Satyajit Ray, Mrinal Singh, Khatak. And so I'm doing a feature-length film as an executive producer with them at the moment. Apart from that, what we also do, we actually we have a set of writers whom with whom we actually develop certain properties, and then we are reaching out to certain studios or various other production houses, and taking it to the next stage. So that is something also we are doing.
I think that's the most important thing that we're doing. We're
So
developing.
yeah,
we're getting.
we are trying to identify other people also, other writers, maybe through your this particular podcast. We'll probably reach
We
out
would
to
love
some
to collaborate with writers who've got brilliant
they have got
ideas.
anything interesting, and they are finding difficult to reach out to anyone. So we are like, like accessible people. Anybody can reach out to us, and we would be happy to, get in, collaborate with them, and work our way.
And what is
Because
like
at
what is
the end
Raging
of the
Films?
day,
And yeah, what is Raging Films
since
basically? Can you like brief it up? Like, are you like guys working together on Raging Films? Like, is it like a production house like that you have started, or what exactly it
it's a
is?
concept. It's a
Okay.
concept. I'd like to think of it like that. So Prateek and I, we were at film school together.
Mhm.
Somewhere down the line, our thinking clicked, and in many ways, I'll say, he kind of inspired me to, like jump in on the action because this guy is really motivated. So yeah, so somewhere down the line, we collaborated, started working on projects together, then realized that both of us, the ultimate aim is to be producers. Uh, we are in a certain way, but we want to be, like you said, successful producers. We measure our own success in a certain way. Uh, we've uh, we've got a route now we want to take, but of course, final destination is the same. We are going to join in somewhere. He's working on projects as an individual. I'm working on projects as an individual, and we collaborate in, like we said, get content development. We're developing content and we're getting it ready for the future. Yeah. That's basically us. And apart from that, of course, there is a lot of line production work that we do as a company, and the ad films that we produce, short films, yes. We yeah, we do that sort of things. And we are focused mostly right now in and around Calcutta, but we are expanding our contacts throughout the country. Like Prateek has extensively worked in the South, Malayalam, Tamil.
Mhm.
Um, we've also worked on a lot of international projects which travel to India. And so we've been doing this, taking our separate routes, coming back together, working on other things, and taking baby steps for possibly the big project, which is around the corner, we can imagine. We hope.
So I think what is a good thing about us as a team, we call ourselves as Raging Films. So the thing is that we are the two extremes. He has a different set of skills, and I bring in a different set of skills. And somehow, when we actually come together, we actually, you know,
Absolutely. I mean,
complement each other actually in a lot of good ways.
complement each other,
Yeah.
have crazy debates, arguments, fights,
Yeah.
and then yaar, tune sahi bola tha.
Okay.
Sort of things, and then move on and get the job done.
So yeah, so we like usually I'm the good cop and he's the bad cop. So that is
And
how the
vice
relationship
versa.
works. Yeah.
Okay, and let's say for anyone who is like a writer, let's say director, he wants to reach out to you. Where's the best thing, best place, or let's say any like how they can reach out to you?
We share the email, no?
They can reach us to us at our email address, or maybe on Instagram or on Facebook. Anywhere they can reach us. Even of course
Should we like text it to you? You'll
Yeah,
put
yeah,
that
I'll
put
probably
down
put it,
email on
yeah,
the
yeah,
screen.
we
Yeah.
can put down our email
Yeah.
address. Yeah. So usually what we usually recommend to all the writers, the most important thing is that of course is they should always have your idea registered with, a certain agency. Maybe it can be Skill Writers Association, or it can be Copyright Association of India, right? Because usually you are always
It's a risk.
it's a risk, right? So there may be a person who is reaching out to me, and tomorrow he may claim the boss mera idea chori kar liya, right? So I always recommend whoever is unknown to me, I always tell them that first is the relationship building should be there, right?
For sure.
That is the most important thing. I don't know who you are, so first is the introduction that I usually like to have with a person, that who you are, with a background, what he comes from, and then I usually tell him to get his content registered. कई बार ऐसा होता है लोग without copyright content लेके आ जाते हैं. We read that, but then it is on their own risk as well, right? So if anybody is reaching out to us, please feel free to reach us. Okay, and it is always best if they can reach us after getting some sort of copyright with them, then it becomes easier for us to actually access that content and reach out to the other people as well.
100%.
And it's always a collaborative process. It's not like, like even if we really, really, really love something that is written and it's come to us, it's not that it's going to happen overnight.
For
But
sure.
we can assure a team, as in we are a part of your team now. Let's get this done. So that's the best case scenario that can happen.
I think that's
Together,
like a
yeah.
very that's a very good advice that you can like give out to any writers out there who's like reaching out to other people, directors, producers, anyone like that. Basically having their idea registered to protect themselves from the copyright issue and future conflicts as well. For sure. I think that's a very nice thing. Okay, and like last question that I would ask is like if you could put up like a billboard of like let's say 40 feet wide and let's say 20 feet high. It's like a very huge billboard, and write any message, and it's like it is visible to like 1,000 of people every day. And if you could write any message that you want to convey, so what would it be?
Where is this billboard?
And let's say on a highway, or let's say on a flyover where there's 1,000 of people that they can see. It can be anything, any word, any quote, any message, any image, anything.
That's a difficult one, but yeah.
I wish we had made a film which we are promoting. We should have mentioned that. We would have probably done that, yeah. But for that, but you mean this is going to be there forever, right?
Let's hypothetically forever. Or I think let's say for temporary right now, you can like obviously change it later on. But something that you're like very connected to.
Yeah, from time to time, actually things change and you learn. You learn better.
Yeah.
You believe something, but now you believe your beliefs have become developed in that direction. So I don't think there's anything that is constant that way, and that is the best way to be flexible. Flexible to change. I'm not really sure. I mean,
I think there was this. I think honesty, being honest to yourself. I think if I have to put something, I'll put that. Just be honest to yourself. Whatever you do, whether you are selling vegetables or you're making films, I think you should be honest to yourself. If I have to use any word, I'll probably put that only. And it is something I think which matters a lot.
But if you mean if it's a message for other filmmakers, people in the industry, this is something Prateek and we always talk about. Everything else is unimportant. Trust is the most important thing when you're working together towards something. So until and unless that is gained amongst the team, I don't think the best will come.
Maybe let's say then we can come down to trust, honesty, and belief. Right?
Yeah.
We can put
Trust,
these 3 words.
honesty.
I think the simple terms are the most difficult things to achieve in life.
For sure.
Right? Maybe what is honesty, right? Yeah, but it is the most difficult thing, being honest to yourself. Right. And as maybe filmmakers or anything, I think, right now we face this problem. There is a divide between, especially, where I come from, North India. There is always a divide from what you want and what your parents or your family wants, right? So, and that is where I think to fight all that and come out and be honest to yourself is which will define you for the rest of your life. I don't know how to say that.
Yeah. I think it was like lovely interacting with you guys. So it was like an honor for me to learn more about the film industry, how the complete process goes from, and how the distribution works, everything, like rights, like from everything, like starting to ending. It was like a lovely experience for me. Anything that you want to add, or like I think we can wrap it up as well.
And we try to talk about things that we've learned, let's say, and this learning is never
Still
going to
learning.
end. Yeah, learning
Not
is
the
never
best people on this subject, but yeah, we are still learning our ways around.
Because I have
No,
like
we are
Okay.
some of the best people you could have got. I mean, for the age that we are in. But I'm saying that there's so much more to learn, so much more to learn, and that's never going to end. And we've probably spoken about things which people might disagree with, and we would love to take it up with them. I mean, we would love to talk to them about it and learn further about their insights into that.
okay, anyone that you would recommend me to like have like on my show as well, that I can reach out. I'm assuming not like a very big person, because they would definitely reject me, or like not even like completely ignore me. Any recommendation that you would say?
What kind of a person would you?
Any
I
like,
mean,
it's like any creative person. It can be any it can be any director, it can be any videographer, anything.
we'll probably get back to you on this. I mean, there's so many. There's so many
people
persons.
we can actually suggest you, which can actually add a lot of value to your this thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you let us know. You
Yeah.
want to speak to an editor, we'll recommend
We
you.
Okay,
get
done.
things
Yeah.
done. That is, we
You
get things
let us
done.
know.
That is, we are producers, right? So you just let us know what are your requirements, and we'll go around with that 100 rupees and
Okay.
We try
find
to
out.
get you the
Sounds
best.
good.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, thanks a lot,
Anyway.
like Prateek. Thanks a lot, Shaunak, like coming on my show. It was a lovely experience.
Thank you.
And hoping to like
Same
interact with you
here.
again like later on as well. In any like in a
Right,
few months,
right.
that would be fun as well.
Right.
If there's any
Right,
movie
right.
coming out, I would love to know. And like how to like view your movies. Like I'm not sure. Like I even asked Prateek how to like see how your like videos or like the movies that you have like put
So
out.
one of the films I've already shared with you.
Yeah,
I think you
that's
can
one.
share that film. That is already on the YouTube. And some of the other films, we have done some corporate stuff and the other films. And some of the films, right now, they are still trying to find their, way in for the distribution. So as soon as they're out, I'll probably let you know and we can
Perfect,
put an update. But this is one of the films that we have actually recently put. I think you can share that film.
Yeah, I think I'll put that
And
link.
this is something which we both are quite proud of, and we would love that people should see this film and give their feedback about this film. And I also would request you, maybe if you can also put up that letter from Jaffar Panahi.
Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
probably send it
Just
to
send
you.
me a link.
I think
a link or like any PDF
I'll send
that
you the
you
link.
have.
Yeah. So there is a video also people can see on YouTube, but I think I'll send you the details also. I think it is quite inspiring for all the fellow people who filmmakers, and I think it's for everyone who wants to do anything in the terms of arts. So yeah.
This is great. Yeah. Talking to you.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, lovely talking with you guys.
Okay.
Have a
Thank
nice
you.
day.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
So, thank you.
You
Bye.
too.